You're listening to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. Just a quick heads up before we get started with this episode, I wanted to let you know about a free resource for listeners of the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. That means you. If you are planning your next trip abroad, or if you're just getting back out into the world again, maybe you're going to an event or to a festival or to a meetup, that you need to be prepared for what to say when you meet someone for the first time. Download our free Spanish conversation guide so that you'll be prepared to have a conversation with anyone that you meet for the first time in Spanish. We give you a list of the most common questions that you'll be asked and that you may want to ask someone when you meet them for the first time, along with the responses so that you can be prepared when you have that conversation in less than 30 minutes. So to get your free conversation guide, just go to SpanishConversationGuide.com. Simple, right? SpanishConversationGuide.com to download your quick guide to prep for your first Spanish conversation.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast,
the show for Spanish learners
that love music,
travel, and culture.
Close your grammar textbooks,
shut down the language apps, and open your ears
to how Spanish is spoken in the real world.
Let us show you
how to go from beginner
to bilingual.
Here's your host,
certified language coach,
Tamara Marie.
Hola y bienvenidos al episodio 235. Welcome to episode 235 of the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. So if you listened to our last episode, you know that I was sharing a conversation that I had with my good friend Desta Haile from Languages Through Music. I actually had an opportunity to meet up with her in person over in London over the summer, actually. So this conversation we had before that trip. And I do have to say, I almost wanted to stay in London when I went there. Like I mentioned in our last episode, we actually went to the British Museum and we saw the Rosetta Stone, or the Piedra de Rosetta. And just a language learner's dream. And we also went into downtown London. We checked out this really cool music store. They had all kinds of music in different languages, some books from about the Caribbean and some of the history there. So it was just a great time I had hanging out with Desta in London. In this episode, I will be sharing part 2 of our conversation, and we turned the table. So I actually was on her podcast and she was asking me questions. So I was actually in the seat of the interviewee and not the interviewer. So she started asking me about how Spanish con Salsa got started, how I started learning languages with music. I also shared some of my favorite episodes from this podcast, and coming up next year, we are going to be celebrating the 7-year anniversary show. So we launched on January 15th, 2019. So coming up in the next few weeks here, we will be doing our 7-year anniversary show. So I'll be sharing more about those episodes that I really love throughout the years there as well. And we also talk about how language learning helps when times are tough. I know for a lot of people, the year 2025, 2025, is one that maybe we want to olvidar, maybe we want to forget. But for some people, it was great, right? Like however your experience was. We talked about how language learning is something that really does help when you are going through things, and also just the benefits of learning Spanish with music and how that can be even more beneficial if you're stressed, or even when you just feel like you don't have time, or there's other things going on in your life that may be challenging. Just kind of learning through music can be an outlet. So we talk about all of those things, and I'm really excited to share part 2 of my conversation with Desta Haile.
When were you like, okay, that's it, I'm studying Spanish con Salsa, I'm starting the podcast? Did they come at the same time, or was it an entrepreneurial segue?
Oh, like all entrepreneurial journeys, it's like full of lots of segues. But I do remember even coming up with the name Spanish con Salsa. I was actually at a polyglot event. So I was in Montreal, and I had actually did a presentation on learning Spanish with salsa music. And, that's really how I started to learn the language. Because part of what I started to do after traveling was I was listening to the music and I go, okay, I want to take a class. I want to learn how to dance salsa. And so obviously through dancing, I was exposed to more and more music. So I'm like, okay, what are these songs saying? What do the lyrics mean? And that's really how I got more into it, because I was really immersed not only through just my interest in travel, but also through dancing, because dancing is like an entirely immersive full body experience. And so learning the dance and then learning the music that goes along with it. And then just it was part of my social life. I was dancing all the time, like 4 nights a week. I'd be going out salsa dancing. So it just made sense, right? I was like, well, this is just like my natural next step. So in learning salsa, going through some of the lyrics, I really just began to develop my own methodology for how I learned Spanish. And so I did a presentation on that Polyglot conference in Montreal. And I remember we were at lunch and actually, I apologize. That was the year after. This was before I even did that. So I came back and did that workshop the following year. But the year prior, I was at lunch and we're just kind of talking. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to start something. You guys are doing this. This is not really my thing. I'm just kind of having fun here. I just like to be around people learning languages, And they're like, well, why don't you start something, And Ladonna was there too. It was a conversation we talked about her earlier. And it was like, well, the name Spanish con Salsa just came out of that conversation. And I said, all right, you know what? When I go home, as soon as I get off the plane, I'm going to go get a logo made. I think I went to 99 Designs or one of those logo websites back in the day. And I said, here's my concept. And I had someone make the logo for me. And
Awesome.
The rest is history. I just moved on the inspiration of the idea from just the name and started from there.
Amazing. And what would you say some of your highlights have been in terms of the people you've signed up? Or I know you had this awesome thing where you were offering people a ticket to the Caribbean if at one point.
We've done so much.
Yeah, and you have an incredible team. Looking back, I know time flies, but are there any moments that you're particularly proudest of?
Yeah, well, I think one, having the team, makes it so much easier, and it just that's one of the things I most appreciate about being able to do this, because it also is a way for me, as I've gone through different phases in life, even through these past few years, is a way for me to keep Spanish alive in my own life,
Yeah.
So having my team, they're all native Spanish speakers from different places. They've gone through different things, so we've kind of been on this journey together. So I'm very grateful for each and every one of them. And so that's been a great highlight for me personally, just knowing that I have other folks there to kind of carry this on, right? For me and with me. But I would say for me, the podcast. So I launched a podcast in January 2019. I've always loved podcasts, especially not just about languages, but about everything, right? I'm just like a podcast junkie. So it made sense for me to start one. And I would say for me, the two highlights from that were I had a guest, Leila Cobo, who wrote a book about some fascinating stories behind all of these classic, iconic Latin music songs, like Guantanamera, like Ricky Martin's song. So she works for, she was, I don't know if she's still in that position, but at the time, she was a vice president of Latin music at Billboard. And I don't even know how I snagged the interview with her, but her book was coming out. She came on the podcast and we talked about all of it, like salsa. We talked about how the culture of just the idea of Latin culture, Latino identity, Latinx, whatever people are calling it these days, is really a mix of not only different parts of Latin America and the Caribbean, but also the United States, because a lot of these artists were in New York making this music, even though they had deep roots in different parts of Latin America. So a lot of these songs have these really interesting stories, and she interviewed all these artists, and I got to talk to her about that. That was one of my favorite interviews. And then also going along with that, I was able to interview Henry Santos, who's part of the group Aventura, just iconic bachata band. Romeo Santos, his brother, also is now he has his own kind of solo career. He branched off after starting Aventura. And I remember being so nervous for that interview. I was like, oh my God, I'm 1 degree of separation away from Romeo Santos.
That's so cute.
And then just, having the community, right? So we have a membership. We've had, we sell courses about learning Spanish through music. But one of the things, like you mentioned, we've done is just had a contest, a way to like motivate people that if they're in our membership, they go through the program, and we vote on it too as a team, like who gets this trip. But we've sent several people to Puerto Rico, to Costa Rica to have immersion experiences like the one I had when I was in Panama. And it's just been so great to see people be able to get it, for it to finally click. We've had people come to us like said, oh, I was traveling abroad. I've been learning for 10 years. I went to college and took classes. And it wasn't until I joined Spanish con Salsa that I was actually able to get over my fear of speaking the language, that I was able to have fun doing it and stay motivated, have other people I could talk to that are like me, So that's been really rewarding to just see people who've been struggling and frustrated with like, why can't I get this? Like finally have a community and support, because that's the thing I wanted when I was starting, because I was like, no one else is trying to do this. Like, I'm the only weird person who like went to the gym and listened to Zumba and like started dancing salsa and like listening to music, and I'm not Latina, and people are like, what are you doing? So it's been great. It's been that's been awesome. Really rewarding. Yeah.
And outside of Spanish and salsa, are there any other languages calling your name in the future? Any other languages you'd love to learn, or dances you'd love to learn?
Oh, as you know, so Brazilian Portuguese, during the COVID times, I actually did like take some samba classes. It was online.
Amazing.
But it was like Alvin Ailey in New York. They were teaching it, so it was really cool.
Alvin Ailey was teaching samba?
Yeah, like they had an instructor there, and they were doing these online classes during the pandemic. And then I said, I'll take some Portuguese classes and I'll, learn some samba, right? That went okay, but it was COVID times, and I had been to Brazil already at that point. So I was really just trying to reinvigorate that. But I definitely would love to get more into Brazilian Portuguese. I also had a stint of Egyptian Arabic that I really want to learn, because I still want to visit Egypt. Every time I plan to go, something happens, but it's like, it's still on my bucket list. So I would really like to, to learn Egyptian Arabic as well, because when I go there, I want to be able to talk to people, which is always my reason for, learning. Like I want to be able to talk to people about what's really going on where they're from. Because I think that type of connection, we were talking before we started recording about all the stuff going on in the world right now. And I think we take for granted that, we keep thinking, oh, we're misinformed by the news. But if you actually just talk to people, right, really talk to people and know their language, you will learn so much more. And I think that is the biggest force that we have. If we're thinking about, if we're discouraged by everything that's going on in the world, I think the biggest thing that we have is that ability to still reach out and have that authentic connection. I was just talking to someone who's literally was, living in Israel while the bombs were going off in one of the business mastermind groups I'm in. And she was just messaging us and says, listen, if you guys want to know what's really going on, just ask me, because there's all this other stuff going on, above our heads. But she's like, look, I was in a bomb shelter this morning. I can't even record anything for my business right now. I was going to do a webinar, but I can't do it because I'm in a bomb shelter, right? So if we just speak to people in their language and make that real, genuine connection, all the misinformation that we're subjected to disappears immediately. And I just wish more people would just do that. I think we feel so powerless that we don't realize the power that we have with just simple communication and community and connection. So
speaking to that, how it feels like the world is on fire these days. One of the things that I feel we don't speak about enough is how kind of escapism language learning can be, or kind of just a nice mental health break language learning can be. I really feel when I'm studying a language, that's the one time I'm completely absorbed in something. I'm not thinking about what's on the news. I'm not anxious. I'm really, and I don't feel like it's mentioned enough. When people say reasons to learn a language, it's good for your work opportunities or education or decision-making skills. But I feel it's actually really good for mental health and mood and well-being.
Well,
especially
it's funny. Yeah, you mentioned that, especially learning through music, right? Exactly. So one of the things I talk about, I have a masterclass about this, like how to get over the fear of speaking Spanish, right? Because there's so many people who go, I know some Spanish. I'm on level 5,271 of Duolingo.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, hola, ¿cómo estás? And they're like, I'm not ready for all that yet. I'm like, dude, I just said hi. So I know it's like a big issue. One of the things I say is that you need to prime yourself if you're dealing with that type of anxiety around speaking a language. And one of the ways to do that is to listen to a song in the language so that you switch the association of the language in your brain from tense perfectionism, performance-based, so I'm going to say something stupid, I'm going to be embarrassed, to like, oh, I actually like this song. This has a great message. Now I feel good and I'm listening to Spanish. I'm singing along with it and I don't have any of those anxieties. So it's, I think with learning through music, absolutely, because it allows you to naturally just get rid of all those barriers to whether you're thinking you're bad at languages, whether you're stressed out about life, because life is lifing, right? For everybody right now, like just having that connection to yourself and to others through music, to language is like so powerful. So yeah, I think absolutely when you incorporate music with it, it just really can be a big cure for all of the stuff. Not escapism, even just like a true stress management, like a true break from the crazy and the chaos.
Speaking about breaks from crazy and chaos, I can't wrap up this podcast without mentioning Sisters Only Language Summit.
Yeah,
because that is what initially connected us.
Yes,
and I'm so proud of it. Even though we just did those 4 online summits, just the hundreds of people that connected us to, and how, I don't know, we just put it into action. So for listeners, for context, I connected with Tamra and Shahida from Black Girls Learn Languages and Madonna from Discovering Language, and we were just tired of going to all these polyglot events around the world and never seeing any speakers that looked like us. So we set up the world's first ever exclusively for Black women, by Black women, language summit. And it was a joyous thing. We had Haitian Creole teachers in New York. We had Zulu teachers in Joburg. We had Beijing translators in Tokyo. We had just hundreds of super interesting folks from around the globe connect in 2020. April 2020 was the first one. And it was just a magical time. I just really love that. I know life has been lifing and we're all so busy, and we came back out the house after COVID and all these things. But really, that is one of the things I'm proudest of, because every time I go to a language event since, I'm like,
yeah,
it's all right.
And I don't think I've been to one since, honestly. No, I agree with you. It was such a powerful experience. Like just the fact that we all came together. And it's especially shout out to Shahida for Black Girls Learn Languages, because I feel like she was really committed to the idea, right, of bringing together Black women around language learning. And it was amazing. Like I learned so much, doing that. Even, oh gosh, the one I remember the most was the Black Sign Language. I had no idea, because when I saw BSL, I was like, British Sign Language with 2 hands, right? No, Black Sign Language. I was like, oh, what? So like, I do think it was great for us to connect around that. And I do hope we get to do something again, hopefully in person one day, hopefully we can have Sisters Only Language Summit in vivo. So
in vivo, por favor, that would be so, so great.
Yes, absolutely.
So watch this space. We'll be coming back.
Now we put it out there. Now we have to do it.
Now we have to do it. I'm putting it out. I'm putting it out. Let's go. So Tamra, muchísimas gracias for joining me today. I can't wait to meet you en vivo in Londres really soon.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully we can organize the first in-person Souls somewhere like Cartagena. Or or Cuba, or I don't know where
Puerto
in El
Rico.
Caribe you would recommend. You've traveled more than I have in El Caribe. So I can't wait. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Anytime I can talk about learning languages and talk about music, it's definitely welcome. So thanks for having me. If anyone wants to listen to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast, if you want to hear more about my crazy Cartagena story, LearnSpanishConSalsa.com. Definitely, I would love to hear your stories too, because I'm always like to feature people too on the podcast to share their stories of learning Spanish and traveling and everything. So thank you so much for having me, Desta.
Thank you. And a link to your resources already lives in my website and all my master classes. So I'll put the links below when we share. And muchas gracias.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Desta. And I did mention the Rosetta Stone earlier, so I want to just give a few facts about it, because what they have in the museum is actually a replica, but the original Rosetta Stone is a fragment that was actually carved back in 196 BCE. And the reason why it was significant is because it actually contained a decree that was written by a king, but what made it really impactful in terms of language learning is that it contained 3 different scripts. So it had the same decree in both ancient Greek, another form of an Egyptian script, and also Egyptian hieroglyphs. So this allowed linguists to use the Greek text to decipher hieroglyphs that they previously could not read that were in Egyptian. So this was actually discovered in 1799, and it was deciphered in 1822. So it's a really significant find for Egyptology, but it's also just become just sort of a universal symbol for, being able to decode another language with, kind of a language that you already know. So it's just really interesting being able to actually see that. And I did resist going to the gift shop to buy one for some other reasons, but that's a whole other conversation. But yes, it was very, very nice being in London, and I think I'll be going back soon. So hopefully I'll get to go back to this amazing restaurant that we found. There was actually 2 really great restaurants. One was a West Indian restaurant, and I had the best roti that, wow, I'm still having dreams about it. So I think I might go back to London just to go to Brixton and get that roti. So absolutely, it was a great trip. And I hope that this conversation inspires you to continue your language learning. If you feel like, it just hasn't been as fun lately, or if things have gotten stale, or if just other things have been getting in the way of you committing that time to learning the language. If it's something you love, if it's something you're passionate about, if you like connecting with other people, learning a language is a great tool for that, and a way that you can have that consistently as a part of your life. So stay tuned, because we will have some more episodes coming up for 2026. Like I said, watch out for that 7-year anniversary episode. And we're also going to be kicking off the new year with a Spanish conversation challenge. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you will be notified as soon as we release the details about the challenge. So we will be kicking it off in just a week or so here as we get started with 2026. As always, I hope something that you've heard in this episode has taken you one step closer from Spanish beginner to bilingual. Hasta la próxima.
Thank you for listening to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast at LearnSpanishConSalsa.com.